Discovery of the Warship, the Galactic Confederation. In a distant corner of the Andromeda Galaxy, where stars twinkled like scattered diamonds against a velvet backdrop, the Galactic Confederation reigned supreme. This vast alliance comprised various alien species, each contributing unique technologies and cultures to a collective mission: to explore, understand, and protect their galaxy. The Confederation had thrived for centuries, basking in its achievements while often overlooking its past, especially the myths surrounding a long-lost race known as humans. Captain Zix's crew. Captain Zixa, an Arcturian explorer with iridescent skin that shimmered under starlight, commanded the survey vessel's Keller Seeker. Her crew was a diverse mix: Grok, an Erison navigator with fur that bristled at every anomaly; Krell, a Volari science officer whose crystalline body pulsed with energy; and Fexer, a towering Soran security chief known for his fierce loyalty. They were seasoned explorers, accustomed to navigating uncharted territories in search of resources and potential colony sites. An unexpected discovery. On this particular expedition, they ventured into an unremarkable star system at the galaxy's edge. As they approached, their sensors detected an anomaly, something massive floating silently in space. It was clearly artificial, but unlike anything in their extensive databases. "What in the name of the cosmic egg is that?" Grok exclaimed, his fur standing on end with excitement. Captain Zix's tentacles twitched with anticipation. "Whatever it is, it's not one of ours," she replied confidently. "Krell, run a full spectrum analysis. I want to know everything about this object." Krell complied immediately, his crystalline body humming as he processed incoming data. "Captain," he reported after a moment, "preliminary scans indicate this structure is indeed a spacecraft of immense proportions. Its hull composition is unfamiliar but appears incredibly durable." A myth come to life. As Zixa absorbed this information, she felt a mix of excitement and dread. "But who built it?" she mused aloud. "Humans," Krell announced suddenly, his voice tinged with disbelief. The bridge fell silent as everyone absorbed this revelation. Humans were thought to be mere myths, stories told to scare younglings about a race from a long-lost planet called Earth. They were said to be short-lived yet adaptable, capable of feats that defied logic. "Legends don't build starships," Grok interjected skeptically. "If this really is a human vessel, what does that mean for us?" Zix's mind raced with possibilities. "It means, my friends, that we may be on the verge of the greatest discovery in Confederation history. Prepare a boarding party. We're going in." Entering the unknown. As her crew geared up for their expedition into the unknown, tension filled the air aboard Stellar Seeker. They were about to step into history, possibly awakening something that had slumbered for millennia. Led by Fexer, they approached the dormant vessel using advanced cutting tools to breach an airlock. As they entered the ship's dark interior, eerie silence enveloped them, illuminated only by their portable lights. Strange contraptions lined the walls. Their purpose was an enigma waiting to be unraveled. The deeper they ventured into Lazarus, the name they had given to the ship, the more they marveled at its design. Sleek yet imposing, bearing scars from ancient battles, yet remaining largely intact. Faded markings hinted at a language no one recognized. "The bridge." "Captain," Fexer reported back through their comm system after reaching what appeared to be the bridge. "You need to see this." On screen, they saw vast consoles filled with dust but still operational. At the center stood a raised platform with a single chair, its occupant encased in some form of stasis field. "By the stars," Sixnara whispered in disbelief. "Is that a human?" Fexer confirmed over comms. "Yes, and it appears to be alive." The revelation sent shockwaves through Zix's crew. They had stumbled upon not just relics but living specimens from a legendary species thought lost to time. A monumental decision. As they continued exploring Lazarus, more stasis pods were discovered throughout the ship, each containing humans suspended in animation, It became clear that this was not merely a vessel. It was an ark preserving humanity against extinction. Captain Zixa faced a monumental decision. Protocol dictated alerting Confederation High Command immediately. However, curiosity tempted her to investigate further before involving bureaucrats who might stifle their discovery. "Fexer," she instructed firmly, "secure the bridge and set up a research station here." She turned to Krell. "I want you analyzing everything you can, but do not attempt to revive anyone yet." As her crew began their careful study of Lazarus's systems and technology, they stood at the precipice of new beginnings, a new era where sleeping giants were about to awaken. The countdown begins. Little did they know that deep within Lazarus's core systems triggered by their presence were ancient protocols stirring back to life. A countdown not just for reviving humans, but also for an impending clash between civilizations that would reshape galactic society forever. As Part 1 concludes, questions loom large. What secrets does this human worship hold? How will these aliens react when faced with legendary beings? And most importantly, what impact will humanity have on a galaxy that had long forgotten them? Awakening the past. The tension in the air. As the crew of the Stellar Seeker gathered in the bridge of the ancient warship Lazarus, an electric tension filled the air. The holographic figure of Aria, the ship's artificial intelligence, had just announced the activation of the revival protocol. Captain Zixa felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. They were on the brink of a monumental first contact with a species thought to be nothing more than a myth. "Stand down," Zixa commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos. The crew looked to her for guidance as Admiral Helena Winters and her team began to regain their bearings. The humans, disoriented yet alert, moved with purpose, their eyes scanning their surroundings. First impressions. Admiral Winters, a tall figure with silver hair and sharp blue eyes, quickly assessed the situation. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice firm despite her recent awakening. "And what year is it?" "I am Captain Zixa of the Galactic Confederation," Zixa replied, spreading her tentacles in a gesture of peace. "You have been in stasis for over 5,000 years. It is now the year 7522 of the Galactic era." Winter's expression faltered momentarily as she processed this information. 5,000 years. That's impossible. The room fell silent as both crews absorbed the gravity of their circumstances. Humans had been lost to time, and now they stood before beings who had only heard tales of their existence. The gathering. As the initial shock wore off, Zixa suggested a meeting between senior staff from both sides to exchange information. Admiral Winters agreed, recognizing that they needed to understand each other's situations better. In a conference room adorned with ancient human artifacts, now mere relics, representatives from both species gathered. The humans were still grappling with their temporal displacement while trying to regain their composure. "Let's start with introductions," Zixa suggested, looking around the table. "We need to know who we are dealing with." Winters introduced her key officers. Dr. Ilaris Singh, the Chief Medical Officer, Lieutenant Commander Jack Harper, Tactical Officer, and several others who had once been leaders in their fields. A shared history. As they exchanged stories, Zixa explained the current state of the galaxy. "The Galactic Confederation spans 3/4 of known space," she said. "We have achieved relative peace through cooperation and technological advancement." "What about Earth?" Winters interjected, a hint of urgency in her voice. Zixa hesitated before responding. "I'm afraid we have no records of Earth or any human colonies until now. Your species was considered a myth, a long-lost civilization that vanished millennia ago." The revelation hit hard. Jack Harper slammed his fist on the table in disbelief. "That's impossible. We were at our peak when we launched this mission." Operation Firewall. Winters raised a hand to calm Harper's rising anger. "What was the nature of this mission?" Zixa asked curiously. "We were part of Operation Firewall," Winters explained somberly. "A last-ditch effort to save humanity from an existential threat. a force we called the Swarm that was consuming entire star systems. The room erupted into murmurs as both crews realized they shared a common enemy. The Swarm was not merely a myth. It was a terror that still lingered in collective memory across various species within the Confederation. Understanding each other, Zixa leaned forward, intrigued by this shared history. What happened during your mission? We were sent into deep space with our best technology and brightest minds, Winters continued. Our goal was not just survival, but also to find a way to defeat the Swarm. Krell, Zix's science officer, chimed in. What do you know about them? We've encountered remnants of their attacks on various worlds. Winters exchanged glances with her crew before responding. They adapt quickly and consume everything in their path, planets, ships, even entire civilizations. A plan forms. The gravity of their situation weighed heavily on everyone present. Zixa realized that if they were to survive together, they needed to act swiftly. Admiral, she proposed cautiously, we should consider forming an alliance against this common threat. Winters nodded thoughtfully but remained cautious. An alliance could work if we can trust each other. Trust will take time, Zixa admitted, but we must start somewhere. Training together. Weeks passed as both crews worked side by side aboard Lazarus. They shared knowledge about technology and tactics while learning about each other's cultures and histories. Dr. Ilaris Singh began treating some of Zix's crew for minor ailments, using ancient human medical techniques that fascinated them all. Meanwhile, Jack Harper led training sessions for tactical maneuvers aboard Lazarus, teaching Zix's crew how to operate human weaponry and defense systems. Cultural exchange. During breaks from training, informal gatherings became common where stories were shared over meals prepared using recipes from both cultures. Zixa found herself enthralled by tales of human resilience, how they overcame adversity through innovation and sheer willpower. In turn, humans learned about Arcturian diplomacy and how different species within the Confederation work together for peace. A new threat emerges. Despite their growing camaraderie, an undercurrent of tension remained as news arrived from Confederation outposts. Reports indicated that swarm activity had increased near inhabited worlds. We can't ignore this any longer, Zixa stated during one meeting as she reviewed data on recent attacks. If we don't act soon, more lives will be lost. Admiral Winters agreed but expressed concern about their readiness for combat after so many years in stasis. We need to prepare our forces, she said decisively. We can't let fear dictate our actions. The countdown begins. As preparations began for potential conflict with the Swarm, deep within Lazarus's systems, triggered by their presence, were ancient protocols stirring back to life. A countdown not just for revival, but for an impending clash between civilizations that would reshape galactic society forever. Both crews understood that they stood at a crossroads. Their actions would determine not just their fates, but also those of countless others across galaxies. As Part 2 concludes, questions loom large. Will this newfound alliance be strong enough to face an ancient threat? How will humanity adapt to its new reality among alien races? And what sacrifices will be necessary for survival? Understanding each other. The meeting of minds. In the heart of the Lazarus, a ship that had once been a vessel of war and now stood as a beacon of hope, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. Captain Zixa and Admiral Winters convened a crucial meeting between their senior officers. The stakes were high, and both crews understood that their collaboration could be the key to survival against the looming threat of the Swarm. Thank you all for gathering, Zixa began, her voice steady but filled with urgency. We are at a pivotal moment in our histories. We must share knowledge and resources if we are to face this enemy together. Winters nodded in agreement. Our first priority is to assess our current situation and develop a strategy that utilizes both our strengths. Sharing knowledge. The meeting commenced with each side presenting their technological advancements and military strategies. Zix's crew showcased their advanced navigation systems, while Winters' team detailed the human weaponry that had once defended Earth. Your ships are impressive, Winters remarked, examining holographic displays of Arcturian vessels. "But we have something you may find useful." She gestured to Harper, who activated a projection of the human starship designs. The Terran Defense Force developed specialized weapons designed specifically for combating the swarm, Harper explained. These include energy shields that can absorb their attacks and countermeasures that exploit their weaknesses. Zixa leaned forward, intrigued. "If we can integrate your technology with ours, we might stand a chance against them." Bridging cultures. As they continued to exchange ideas, cultural differences became apparent but also fascinating. The humans shared stories of their resilience during catastrophic events on Earth, natural disasters, wars, and pandemics that had nearly wiped them out multiple times. "We learned to adapt," Winters said, her voice filled with pride. "Every setback made us stronger." Krill, the Volari science officer, interjected. "Your adaptability is remarkable. It mirrors our own survival strategies in hostile environments." This commonality sparked a deeper understanding between the two species. They realized that despite their differences, both had faced adversity and emerged resilient. Training together. With plans for collaboration taking shape, Zixa proposed joint training exercises to familiarize both crews with each other's combat tactics and technologies. "We need to be able to trust one another in battle," Zixa emphasized. "Let's put our skills to the test." The humans agreed, eager to showcase their methods while learning from their new allies. Over the next few weeks, training sessions became a daily routine aboard Lazarus. A day of drills. One day, as dawn broke over the distant stars, both crews gathered in the ship's hangar bay for a series of drills. Harper led the humans while Fexer took charge of Zixa's crew. "Today's exercise will focus on coordinated attacks," Harper announced confidently. "We'll simulate an encounter with swarm ships." As they practiced maneuvers and tactics, laughter echoed through the hangar, breaking down barriers between them. The camaraderie grew stronger as they shared tips and tricks from their respective experiences. Facing challenges. However, not everything was smooth sailing. Tensions occasionally flared during training sessions when misunderstandings arose due to differences in communication styles. During one drill, Fexer misinterpreted Harper's commands and initiated an aggressive maneuver that nearly resulted in a collision between two ships within the simulation. "Stand down," Zixa shouted as alarms blared throughout Lazarus. Harper stepped forward, frustration evident on his face. "That was not what I meant. We need better coordination." Zixa intervened quickly. "Let's take a step back and discuss how we can improve our communication." Building trust. After some heated discussions, both crews recognized that trust would take time but was essential for their survival. They began implementing new protocols for clearer communication during drills. As they continued training together over several weeks, friendships blossomed between crew members from both species. They shared meals filled with laughter and stories late into the night. Cultural exchange nights. One evening, Zixa organized a cultural exchange night where each crew would present aspects of their heritage through food and storytelling. The humans prepared traditional dishes from Earth, spicy tacos and hearty stews, while Zixa's crew offered exotic Arcturian delicacies made from luminescent fruits and savory proteins harvested from their home planet. As they feasted together under the glow of starlight filtering through Lazarus's observation deck, they shared tales of bravery and ingenuity from their histories. The looming threat. Despite these moments of joy, an underlying tension remained as reports continued to flood in about swarm activity near inhabited worlds within Confederation space. "Time is not on our side," Winters said during one strategy meeting as she reviewed data projections on potential swarm movements. "We need to act before they strike again." Zixa nodded gravely. "We must finalize our battle plan immediately." Developing strategies. The two crews worked tirelessly over the following days to develop strategies that combined human ingenuity with Arcturian technology. They designed new weapon systems tailored specifically for fighting against swarm tactics. Krell led efforts to enhance human weaponry using Arcturian energy sources, while Harper worked on integrating advanced targeting systems into Lazarus's existing arsenal. As they collaborated day and night, exhaustion set in, but so did determination. They were no longer just two separate crews. They had become allies united by purpose. A new hope. Finally, after weeks of hard work and collaboration, they stood ready for battle. A unified force prepared to confront an ancient enemy threatening not just their lives, but also the future of countless civilizations across galaxies. Before heading into battle, Zixa gathered everyone on Lazarus's bridge for one last rallying speech. "We stand at a crossroads," she began passionately. "Together we have forged bonds that transcend species and history. Today we fight not just for ourselves, but for every life in this galaxy." Cheers erupted from both crews as they felt a surge of hope coursing through them, a feeling that together they could face any challenge ahead. The countdown begins. As Part 3 concludes, questions loom large. Will this newly formed alliance be enough to withstand the impending attack? How will they adapt when faced with the ferocity of the swarm? And will humanity's ingenuity prove to be humanity's ultimate weapon? The rising threat. A new dawn. As the sun rose over the distant stars, illuminating the vast expanse of space, the crew of Lazarus prepared for what lay ahead. The atmosphere aboard the ship was charged with a mix of hope and anxiety. They had forged a fragile alliance, but the reality of their situation loomed large. The swarm was not just a distant threat. It was an impending doom that could consume everything they held dear. Admiral Winters stood on the bridge, her sharp blue eyes scanning the star charts displayed before her. "We need to move quickly," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "Our first step is to gather intelligence on swarm movements." Captain Zixa nodded in agreement. "Krell, can you enhance our sensors to detect any swarm activity within a reasonable range?" "Already on it," Krell replied, his crystalline body shimmering as he interfaced with the ship's systems. "I'll boost our scanning capabilities to maximum efficiency." Gathering intelligence. As Krell worked diligently, Zixa and Winters discussed their next steps. "We should send out scout ships to gather information," Zixa suggested. "We need to understand their tactics and numbers before we can formulate a plan." Winters agreed but added a note of caution. "We must ensure that our scouts remain undetected. The swarm is known for their ability to sense intruders." "Agreed," Zixa said, turning to Fexer. "Can your team prepare stealth ships for this mission?" Fexer's massive form nodded confidently. "We'll ensure they are equipped with cloaking technology and ready for deployment within the hour." The first mission. With plans in place, they assembled a small team of volunteers from both crews, humans and Arcturians united in purpose. As they prepared for departure, Zixa felt a sense of pride swell within her. This was more than just a mission. It was a testament to their newfound alliance. "Remember," Zixa addressed the team before they boarded their stealth ships, "our goal is to gather information and return safely. We cannot afford to engage unless absolutely necessary." The team nodded in understanding, determination etched on their faces as they entered their ships. Into the unknown. As the stealth ships glided silently away from Lazarus, Zixa watched from the bridge, her heart racing with anticipation. They were venturing into uncharted territory where danger lurked at every turn. "Keep an eye on those scanners, Krell," she instructed. "On it," he replied, his focus unwavering as he monitored the readings. Minutes turned into hours as they navigated through dark voids and asteroid fields, careful not to attract any unwanted attention. Just as they began to feel a sense of calm, alarms blared across the control panels. "Swarm vessels detected," Krell shouted, his voice filled with urgency. The encounter. The crew's hearts raced as they saw the silhouettes of swarm ships emerging from the shadows. Massive vessels that seemed to pulse with an ominous energy. "Stealth mode activated," Zixa commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. The ships cloaked themselves just in time as the swarm vessels passed by, their dark forms looming like predators hunting prey. "We need to gather data on their formations," Winters whispered urgently. "Krell, can you analyze their movements?" "I'll do my best," Krell replied, his fingers dancing over the controls. A narrow escape. As they continued to observe from a safe distance, Zix's team noted how the swarm ships communicated through flashes of light, a language of sorts that seemed almost sentient. Suddenly, one of the swarm ships veered dangerously close to their position. Zixa held her breath as she watched it scan the area. "Stay still," she whispered fiercely. The tension was palpable as they remained frozen in place. Fortunately, after what felt like an eternity, the ship moved on without detecting them. "We need to get out of here," Winters urged. "We've gathered enough data. Let's return before we're compromised." Zixa nodded in agreement and signaled for a retreat. As they maneuvered back toward Lazarus, relief washed over them. But it was short-lived. The data analysis. Once safely aboard Lazarus again, they hurried to analyze the data collected during their mission. The room buzzed with excitement and anxiety as everyone gathered around Krell's console. "What did we learn?" Winters asked impatiently. Krell began displaying holographic images of swarm formations and communication patterns. "They seem to operate in tightly coordinated groups," he explained. "Their movements are calculated and synchronized, almost like a hive mind." Zixa frowned at the implications. "If they communicate this way, it means we need to disrupt their coordination during battle." "Exactly," Harper chimed in. "If we can isolate individual ships or disrupt their communication signals, we may stand a chance." Formulating a strategy. With this new information in hand, both crews engaged in heated discussions about tactics and strategies for combat against the swarm. "We need to create diversions," Winters suggested. "If we can draw some of them away from their main formation, we can strike at their weak points." Zixa finished excitedly. As ideas flowed freely between humans and Arcturians alike, a cohesive battle plan began to take shape, one that combined human ingenuity with Arcturian technology. Preparing for battle. In the days that followed, both crews worked tirelessly preparing for what lay ahead. They modified Lazarus's weapon systems based on human designs, while ensuring that Arcturian energy sources powered them efficiently. Training sessions intensified as crew members practiced maneuvers designed specifically for combating swarm tactics. The atmosphere aboard Lazarus transformed from anxious anticipation into focused determination. "We will not let fear dictate our actions," Zixa declared during one training session. Her words ignited a fire within everyone present. The countdown begins. As preparations continued and morale soared among both crews, deep within Lazarus's systems, triggered by their presence, were ancient protocols stirring back to life. A countdown not just for battle, but for an impending clash between civilizations that would reshape galactic society forever. As Part 4 concludes, questions loom large. Will this alliance withstand the ferocity of battle? How will humanity adapt when faced with an enemy that threatens everything? And what sacrifices will be necessary for survival?